kick us off, on December 2nd at Mohawk College, we're going to be hosting our first in-person skills event. This event is a key part of our Future Ready program. And what I'm going to do is take the next 5 minutes, explain the Future Ready program, but then explain the in-person skills events and how you folks would come in. The program in a nutshell is a $19 million initiative funded by ESDC. It has three main objectives: onboarding new workers into manufacturing, bridging skills gaps, and assessing competencies. So what does that mean? So up until 2021, we've seen a decline in Canadian manufacturing, and that's been for a multitude of reasons. One, the race to the bottom, where it's cheaper to make it in the global south. Two, we've seen that people not wanting to come into the manufacturing sector because they kind of feel like it's kind of archaic and outdated. What our program is doing is actually attracting newcomers, attracting women, racialized folks into manufacturing, where in Canada it does pay really well. How are we doing that? We're doing that in two ways. One, we're working with a company called CSTEC, which helps place not only newcomers, but folks from equity-deserving groups into job placements. And they've placed over 550 people into manufacturing, and over 450 of them come from an equity-deserving group. The second element is bridging the skills gaps. We know that basically, in order to keep up with the technological changes and manufacturing changes, we need to get ahead of it. So our program offers current executives and current workers in manufacturing to get upskilled. But I want to focus on the in-person skills events. And here's some of the details that we know. While many newcomers come to Canada with valuable skills, credentials, training, finding suitable employment is often a challenge. I myself am from Afghanistan. My parents have a master's in physics and a master's in chemistry. And their first job when we arrived here in Canada in the 90s was handing out flyers, right? Because the credentials that they had were not recognized. I don't know. I think I'm preaching to the choir here that the chemistry and physics, it doesn't matter if you're doing it in Afghanistan or you're doing it in Canada, the periodic table is still the same. So what our in-person skills event aims to do is bridge this gap by offering in-person programs specifically for individuals with 5 different types of experience. And I'm going to explain these types of experience. 1 is welding. 2 is electrician. 3 is production worker. Tammy, Renee, help me out with 4 and 5. Or start out. Production worker, welding, electrician, machinist, and millwright.
That's right.
So these are the 5 jobs that we're going to be assessing, and we're going to be assessing this throughout Canada in close to 10 events. We believe that this event is much more than a skills assessment. It's a platform for these talented individuals to showcase their expertise and adaptability to the Canadian work standards. So explaining the why, I'm going to go into how it works. And the example that I gave to Sarna last week, where she was like, yeah, I get it, is imagine the process of obtaining your driver's, your G2, where you have to showcase your driving skills under the watchful eye of an assessor. This is exactly how we're mirroring it for our in-person skills event. Each participant will be paired with an assessor. They will be provided with personal protective equipment, and at Mohawk College, they'll be doing this at their Training Access Center, which has the state-of-the-art facilities, and the assessor is going to say, okay, Sarna, I need you to demonstrate these welding tasks. Turn this on, weld something in a 45, I'm not a welder, I'm so sorry. Weld something in a 45-degree angle, weld it in a 90-degree angle, ask questions. And while they're doing this assessment, the participant is wearing a GoPro where everything is being recorded and they're receiving that real-time feedback. This evaluation finishes at the end where the participant will receive, every participant will receive a participation credential. But more than that, the participants that actually show competency in the welding, like in the welding job, for example, will receive a digital credential. That credential, as different to some other credentials, is going to have the assessor's name, the assessor's credentials, and where it holds more value, where it's not going to be like Joe Schmo did the assessment. It's going to be like Devonte did the assessment. Here's the experience Devonte has. Here's his welding red seal number or whatever information, where employers can actually look at that saying, oh, like we're starting up, this person is starting up, starting with a leg up. In terms of the format and the benefits, it's like, we know that we're not just assessing skills, and we're providing more of a holistic approach to ensuring that every participant has the access to showcase their abilities. And one way that we're doing this is we're offering translation devices on site, and we got that confirmed last Thursday. I want to give an asterisk right off the bat is there is going to be a translation required, like a translation deadline, which is going to be the week before the event, in order for us to source adequate translators. And so, but at the same time, you folks and us, we remember dealing with newcomers where they face financial challenges, and also challenges to traveling and managing family responsibilities while pursuing professional opportunities. We're offering, as a solution to that, we're offering wraparound supports, where we're going to cover the travel and accommodation expenses are going to be covered, and we'll provide and we'll cover childcare services. And one thing that I've been telling groups that I've met with, it's like it kind of could turn into a weekend or a day getaway for a family, for a newcomer. I know it's to Hamilton, but Hamilton's pretty, like all the steel and the smog. There's some gems in Hamilton where they leave on the Friday night as a family. They stay at the hotel the next day. Mom or dad does, or both, do their evaluation, and the kids have childcare, and they come back with hopefully credentials and a bit of hope leaving Hamilton. When I mentioned, I'll re-mention this, is one of the things that we're going to be giving for all the job types is they get to keep the personal protective equipment, where that means the steel toe boots. Sorry for any welders in the room, I'm calling it an apron, the welding apron. They get to keep all the equipment there. And I think that itself, one, from a mental health perspective, it allows them to fit the part, because that's something that they've been wearing when they're back home in Afghanistan, Ukraine, or whichever country they were from. Two, when looking for new opportunities, that's something that they could check off, right? That's not a stress that they have to deal with. And that's not contingent on them passing or failing their credentials. It's there. We need to know their shoe size before the event, then we'll provide that to them. I think in closing, it's like, what I like to tell people is this isn't just about a skills assessment. I genuinely mean this, and when I said at the beginning, I'll say now, I believe it's a pathway to meaningful employment and integration into Canada's workforce. I think back on my dad handing out flyers, my mom handing out flyers, and if they had a program like this available to them, it would have helped our integration to Canada it would have been a smoother integration that we had. So I invite you to ask any questions. I'll end by saying that our goal is to get, not our goal, we will get Sarna the registration forms by the end of this presentation, where she'll forward them off to you. Just a reminder, and we'll forward off the December 2nd ones, but we'll also send another email in the upcoming weeks where our next 10 events are going to be. For this event, they need to have some welding experience. It can't be that they want to gain welding experience. They need to have some welding experience. So I invite you to ask any questions. Renee or Tammy, have I forgotten anything?
Yeah, if I may, just jump in quickly before I know we're going to lose a few people. We're also offering each participant the opportunity to take, if they haven't recently done so, a Canadian health and safety program. And it's an online program that we're paying for, that they will also receive a credential for participating and completing that program.
That's wonderful. Tammy, would that be for anybody who is attending, right?
That's correct.
The event. They would also do the health and safety. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, any of those events, any of the events we're hosting, we'll be offering that.
Go ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. It sounds like a great opportunity for newcomers to enter into, or I guess if they need to have some welding experience, to be able to use the skills that they already have, which is something that we're always seeing as a barrier for newcomers. The one question that I had was, what are the eligibility requirements for the event? Are there any type of restrictions in terms of immigration status? Because we typically see that depending on who the funder is for the program. So I was just wondering what the eligibility requirements were. Thanks.
At this time, they have to be eligible to work in Canada. That's the only requirement that has been given to us.
Okay, so having a work permit.
No,
yeah.
I followed up on this, Tammy, last week.
Oh, you did?
And I have an update. It's refugees are welcome for the assessment. Anyone is welcome, but the ideal would be eligible to work. But they said that if we have someone that's in the process of a status claim, they should for sure take it on.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the wonderful things about this program, is that in terms of status, which is something that we run into a lot of issues in the sector, there's such broad criteria. So this is wonderful for people with temporary work permit, international students.
Yes.
Really, it's very inclusive. So that's great. And I'm glad you asked that, Tinbit. I want to go to Vanda. Vanda, you had a question as well?
Yes, where will the training be?
Oh, the training will be December 2nd, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Mohawk College's Training Access Center.
In Hamilton.
In Hamilton, Ontario.
And just to jump in here, it's not actually, well, it is training. I guess there's health and safety training, right? Piece, but it's really an assessment of skills. That's the main aspect of the event, is the skill assessment of someone who has previous welding experience, to be able to get tangible proof of their skills and a credential of the skills. And another thing that I remember from Hamid and I speaking last week is that if there is time, depending on the number of participants, right, participants can retake the assessment. So if they're a little nervous the first time and feel like they haven't done their best, they can retake the assessment that same day. And it's really only the last time that counts as the testament to their skills.
Sorry, can somebody repeat the name of the company?
Our organization
is
called NGen, NGen.
NGen, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And my understanding is that NGen is an industry-led nonprofit. That's
correct.
Government funded. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Another piece that I think is really wonderful for many of our members and their clients is that the language requirements really are, many of our programs have language eligibility requirements, but this program really doesn't have it because you have the ability to arrange for translators. So that's another huge aspect, because many times when clients are in the sector, we call it Canadian language benchmark 2 or 3, for example, they really have very little access to any employment related supports. So the fact that they can do this assessment, even with very low language skills, is really encouraging. Yes, Wanda, go ahead.
How do we refer a client to you?
We're going to get you folks the registration forms. How we would like to propose the process to be is if you could submit the registration form on their behalf with them on CC to futureready@ngen.ca. Then from there, our operations team will take it through.
Okay. So the organization would fill in the form with the client information and with client's consent, and then forward it to you. Can you give us an idea of what happens from there on? Like what the process would be like?
Sure.
What happens?
Yeah.
Do you contact the client? How does it work?
From there on, I think the process is simple. Tammy and Renee would receive the form. We would respond back to them, welcoming them. Then we would we would reconfirm everything on the form, saying to confirm these are the sizes for your shoes, your apron. This is the event. Do you need accommodations? Yes. After we get all that, we would get their, if they needed accommodations, get their hotel book, get in their transportation, send that off to them. Then on the week of the event, we would have a call with them saying, hey, just to confirm, on Saturday, December the 2nd, this is when your appointment is. Here's the itinerary that you have for the hotel. Here's the just to provide all that into one final package for them. And then when they show up on the day of the event, like I mentioned, it's like they show their ID or whatever indicator they have, then we'll assign them the assessor and they go on from there.
Okay.
So it's like we would become their one-stop shop by creating, it's like I pictured it being a PDF binder of tabs of like, here's your login to the platform, here's your hotel itinerary, here's your travel itinerary. If you are, if you're not going to bring your kids but are using a childcare service, here's how you make this claim. If you need a translator, in that binder or in our multiple follow-ups, Hamid is your Farsi translator. Hamid will be on site. Please make sure you coordinate with Hamid before you do your assessment.
Okay. Okay, we have a few people who need to drop off at this point. But if there's anybody else who has questions.
I think Sarwar had his hand up.
Sarwar, I think, had to leave. Let's see.
Oh, he had to leave. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a quick question. You mentioned CStack. Is that a placement agency or a staffing agency?
It's the Canadian Skills Training and Employment Coalition.
Oh, Canadian Skills
Training Employment Coalition.
I see. It's a cool acronym.
Yeah. So they have employers that are part of the coalition where we place people. They also do research work.
And what role do they play in the project?
CSTEC is, well, they play two roles. One is they're helping us place workers in manufacturing jobs through their coalition of employers. Secondly, they are helping us with the research of 6 papers. So one of them is decarbonization in manufacturing, how to deal with the green economy, because manufacturing has a reputation of a lot of smog and a lot of smoke. Two is how to keep up with the future of work with AI and technologies without losing people or maximizing people's working potential. So they're doing 6 papers for us. Those are just two to highlight.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Wanda,
I see
go ahead.
Wanda.
Sorry, is this 2 separate events? So one is welding and one is manufacturing?
No.
No?
Wanda, this is a helpful question. So we are going to be doing 10 skills assessment events throughout the country.
Yeah.
Each skills assessment event is targeted to one of 5 jobs. The 5 jobs being welding, electrician, machinist, millwright, and general production worker.
Okay.
All of these 5 jobs exist in manufacturing facilities.
Okay.
So the person being assessed, they not necessarily needed to be a welder in a manufacturing facility. They could have been a welder in their own business. But by bringing them on, we're going to assess them on their welding competencies, and they could choose to go into manufacturing or continue doing their own thing. But we want to provide that opportunity.
Thank you.
And then one more question for the event on December the 2nd, which is the first event you're doing for welders. I don't think at this event you will have employers present. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you, sorry. For the remaining 9, our intention is that we're going to be working with our members and our coalition partners. We're going to have an employment fair after the event where people could take their credentials, take their resumes, and hand them to local manufacturers.
This is really cool because the referring agency that's working with you to refer clients, if they know that this fair is happening, can also work to help prepare the client for the job fair with the employer, right? To make sure their resume is up to date and looking good, that they're able to, you know, carry a conversation with an employer in an interview type situation. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for this, but we want to bring the right players together so that you're getting the right clients and that the clients are getting something tangible out of it at the end.
I will commit to following up with Farheen and Timbit and Sarwar. But for the folks on the call, I'm just interested in your experience. Do you think it will be possible to get our baseline goal for the December 2nd event is 6 newcomers? What are your thoughts on us being able to achieve that in the 2.5 weeks that we have left? Is it ambitious? Is it doable?
Do you yourselves know any welders or any newcomer with welding experience that?
I know of one welder, but I think it's not just talking about welding, is letting people know that the program is there. Because like you say, there are 10 other events. There will be lots of people looking forward to this for sure. With welding, I will try to send some people over, but at the moment I only have 1. But I will be sharing the information with all of my newcomer clients.
That's great.
Thank you, Wanda.
Marla?
Thank you. Yes, I have a couple of clients that have experience on a few of these skills, and I believe that they will be pleased to go to this evaluation, but I feel like December 2nd is probably too soon for them. So is it, and I read on the information that you guys sent, that there will be some help for them to get to the place on which the test is going to be conducted. And I wonder if this help is going to be available on any of the locations that the tests are going to be conducted.
Correct. It will be, so our goal is to have 10 across the country. I want to make that clear. And as much as I think Toronto's the center of the universe, I don't think our friends in Vancouver or St. John's agree. But our goal is to get 3 in the GTA. So for the other events, we'll make sure that you folks are aware of them. And yes, the benefits will be offered to in all the events.
Thank you.
I wonder if it would make sense to poll your team, Sarna, and find out for the other GTA events, where do you feel they're most warranted? Like what position or what sector would be more interest? There would be more interest, more people would want to attend with those types of skills.
So I think you're asking what kind of skill supply there might be, or you've already predetermined the 5.
We have, yeah, we have some flexibility as to what we can do within those areas. But if we want, if you were able to come back to us and say, you know, we have 100 machinists that wanted to attend an event, but we only have 5 electricians type of deal. And the electrician one is already sort of solidified. But moving forward, if we knew that potentially there would be a large interest in a certain job, then we could try and arrange it so we could pull the people that you have the largest amount that would be willing to take part in the event.
Yeah, this is a really good question, and I think it's a bit of a chicken and egg question, because the way we would know what skills or which trades are most represented among our clients would be based on what programming we offer.
Okay.
So for example, and I'm not speaking about Toronto NorthLIP, but our service provider member organizations, right? So there are programs in the community specifically for electricians, specifically for construction workers. And they obviously attract people with either interest or skills in that trade. I think one of the challenges is that Immigration Canada doesn't keep track of the professions that they're admitting in the country specifically, to be able to say, okay, here are all the electricians that came in the last 2 years, kind of thing. So once they're in the community, and they're much harder to reach based on that occupational profile. They come to programs and services based on partly what's being offered, right? So if we're not offering anything for machinists, we won't know that there are machinists in the sector. So these are some of the complexities of the settlement sector and the immigration, the way the immigration policy sort of plays out at the ground level in our communities. So, but it's possible to, do we can poll our members about what are they seeing, right? Knowing that partly of what they're seeing is due to what they're offering, but we can ask them, what are they seeing in the community in terms of skills in trades, right?
Okay, so it makes sense that by circulating the events as we are running them, that's how you will gain interest from your separate divisions. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yes. Also, the other thing that would be really helpful, I think, for all of our members, would be really good for them to be aware of, because I agree with Juan that getting the word out that the program exists is one big step, an important part of the puzzle. But the other piece is there are specific newcomer trades programs. And there's not a lot, there's a handful of them, and you really need to connect with all of them, including, so maybe after this call, if folks from those organizations are not on the call, I can send you the information. These are the newcomer trades programs that would specifically attract newcomers in trades. We have one at JVS, but also another organization called Skills for Change has one, another organization, and Access, actually Sarvar organization has a trades program for newcomers, and they will, each of them generally they don't, accept, like I think there's 300 trades that exist in Canada. They only target very specific types of trades. And so, but they would be able to promote the program, refer clients, and also be in a position to answer the question around what are the trades that they're seeing among newcomers in their communities. So it's a long answer, but I hope it sort of answers your question.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, because
Thank you.
I understand that's been one of the challenges, is actually like connecting the demand, right, in those 5 professions you've identified with the skill supply specifically from newcomer communities.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the steps going forward would be that you would send a registration form, and I will, I've recorded the session, and maybe we can stop recording now. I will send the recording so people have more information, as well as the registration form. And I've written a short blurb about the program. I'll add more information to it as that I've learned today. I'll send it out to our members and then encourage them to refer their clients to you directly, with emphasis obviously on welding. But I do think that, I've spoken with a program in Hamilton. They say they'll be able to get you your 6 welders, no problem, by December 2nd. You just need to start seeing those numbers actually turn into actual referral registration forms. Yes, I know. So I'll follow up with them after this meeting, because one of their questions was, well, what happens? How do we get you the people? So if they have the people, how do they actually get those folks to you? So now that we know there is a registration form and they need to complete it with their client, send it to you, CC the client, and then what's going to happen next, because they also need to prepare the client for that, right? So that it doesn't fall flat once it gets into your hands. Right. So hopefully they'll be able to then respond to that and start sending you those folks. And I will connect you with other trades programs in GTA specifically for newcomers, or rather, I might not be able to connect you, but I will send you their information, and then you can reach out to them directly and introduce yourself and say, hey, but if they're our member, I will connect you directly.
That sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarna. And thank you so much for everyone for hopping on a call. And I look forward to successful events, plural, more than one. So we'll make sure to get you the PDF and the registration form, and we'll make sure to get the full schedule of the 10 events once we have them locked down.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And if anybody has any questions, we're always available. You can reach out to any one of us, and we'll try and answer any questions in any way.
Cool.
Sounds great. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Bye. And thank you for letting us know about your program. And I'm really curious to hear what happens after December 2nd. I hope you'll provide us with an update after the event is done.
Awesome.
We will. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.